Hi guys, and welcome back to Beauty and the Bi.
Where I'm the beauty, allegedly.
And I am the bi.
Allegedly.
And I'm one of your co-hosts, Cody, and I am still blowing a 2.0 BAC from last night.
I'm Christiana, and I had to cut myself out of my pants last night.
And that's because we've had quite the last few weekends together. We've been seeing a lot of each other.
We have. We've been seeing a lot of each other and a lot of inside of toilet bowls.
Yes, we have.
I mean, we had Memorial Day weekend. We had a friend's birthday.
Yes.
We had a new job celebration. Just it's all kind of rolling together. Definitely feeling like there's been a lot going on. I'm not
mad.
I'm not mad.
I don't get to see you every weekend.
I'm a little tired.
Literally.
I'm a little bit of a sleepy bitch.
Literally, we walked in. I was like, "How are you from last night?" And you're like, "I'm so fucking tired." And I was like, "I am so tired." But someone had an experience in a car. I've never used the term stealth vomit before, but Christiana did that.
He didn't need to before now.
Christiana did that.
I don't know that I would call it a term. I was being very polite. So we were getting in the car, and a gentleman friend of Cody's offered to drive us all the way from WeHo back to Mid-Wilshire, Mid-Wilshire. And I was like, okay, just keep it together. You do not ever need to vomit in someone's car. There's never going to be a reason for that, and there's never going to be a time that's acceptable.
Especially if, when people think to roll down the window and they want to hang their head out and vomit,
right.
Yes.
So I was like, also, new person, and also I'm in control of my body, my choice. I was not going to vomit in this car. And then our friend Renee insisted that she get, I think, tacos or a
Taco
burrito.
Bell. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm not going to make it.
I'm not going to make it. Sitting in the drive-thru.
Hold it together.
So you did it in the drive-thru?
Yes,
Is that when you
did it in the drive-thru.
Oh my God, because
that's when everyone else's face was pointed towards the menu. So I had my moment. I saw my moment. Shoot the shot. I took it.
It was literally the next day.
I gently opened the door.
Renee was like, oh, do you guys remember when Christiana threw up outside the car last night? I was like, no. I was like, when did she do that? And she was like, yeah, while we were driving home. She just opened the door and right onto the ground. I'm like, no.
No, that's right. Because I'm a polite vomiter.
Yeah, so... yeah, and then last night we had Miss Renee's big 25 birthday party, house party, and we saw each other again. And literally, the first thing, obviously this is going to be weeks out from when we're filming it, but literally the first thing when me and Christiana saw each other was, I walk in, duffel bags in hand, because I'm like, I travel ready to stay the night at any kind of house party that I may attend, and literally I walk in and Christiana just comes up to me and she just grabs my hand and she goes, Wonder Woman. And because we both saw Wonder Woman on opening day, but separately. Woo! And that's our current event topic.
Current events.
We have to talk about
this week in gay news, Wonder Woman is out in theaters.
In gay news, I didn't know. It was
Very gay news. So Wonder Woman was, first of all, the largest box office opening weekend for any film directed by a woman. It is also the gayest opening weekend for any film directed by a woman. That movie, the movie starts on an all-female island,
Literally.
and they're kicking shit, and they're running around, their skirts are flying, but no unnecessary upskirt shots, which was incredible.
I was literally just telling someone, I'm like, you can really tell that this film was directed by a woman because literally there's not a part in the entire film where you are... none of it is made for the male gaze.
Correct.
It's Gal Gadot, right? That's how you say it. She's literally, it's 2.5 hours of watching her beautiful self. Just
as
somehow,
a person, as a phenomenally strong,
actress,
extremely beautiful person,
stunt woman,
not an ass.
Yeah, she's just beautiful, and that's
incredible.
all I can think of the entire time. Is I was just like, this woman is so talented, and she's so stunning. But it's never you don't get that idea because there's a shot of her cleavage or a shot of her, or a shot of her in bed, with the sheets just barely draped. There's none of that. In fact,
Pine
it's
got that
actually
treatment.
the opposite.
Yes.
And Chris Pine,
Without spoiling,
he literally is.
They just flip it.
He wasn't wearing one of those little nude sockies over his ding dong. He literally, they were like, so Chris, for this shot, you're just gonna cup
Be
the
naked.
penis.
Mm-hmm.
You're just gonna
Just
cup the
it.
penis.
Just cup it. Get as much as you can into your hands.
And I'm like, this is what I paid
$17
for.
Yes, the camera's gaze was clearly on making him kind of the prey
vulnerable,
in that
yeah.
moment. Yes, and that was incredible. And she still is just kind of like, huh?
She's literally not phased.
No.
She's just curious. She's just like,
Yeah.
so
Wonder Woman.
where are you from?
Yeah.
And he's like,
It's incredible.
junk in hand. He's like,
Not here.
not here. But yeah,
it's an incredible movie because Wonder Woman is about a woman who exists and is raised outside of patriarchal influence.
yeah, that was kind of like what I was like. They didn't explain like why they were able to find the island. I thought, but honestly,
who cares?
not important
Who
at all. The
cares?
film is literally
still the biggest opening weekend. How much money would it have made if they explained why? I don't care.
literally, it's just like 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like,
Yeah.
it's
It is an
it's the
excellent
best.
film.
I'm
Great superhero movie.
I'm super into DC Comics, especially. I'm DC over Marvel fan, and that's obviously an unpopular opinion. But
Very unpopular.
yes, it's very unpopular. But
it's valid.
But out of all the superhero movies
your
that I've
bats.
really grown up to watch and love, this is my favorite, and I really enjoyed Deadpool. This beat it by a hair for me, just a hair.
Interesting.
It's very hard to compare the two, but I personally. I came out of that movie a changed man. I literally was just walking with my friend Anna, and I was like, I just was rocking on my heels, and she's like, "Yeah, you okay?" And I'm like, "No,
Yeah.
no,
Not
okay.
at all. Not at all.
okay,
And some people had the complete opposite experience and heard, like, as they were walking out of the movie, men just say terrible garbage things. But I did not. When I walked out of that movie, there were two guys in front of me, and the first one, like, they were straight as the day is long. The first one just said, "I had an absolute blast." And the other said, "That was great." And I was like, "Yes, thank you, God."
You're like, a day men don't
Yes.
suck.
Every day.
I just that movie.
Want that to
What I really loved about it is that the entire movie is really, and obviously we're not going to go into spoilers, even though this is like weeks out, but
Sure.
the movie is
You
literally.
should have seen it by now.
yeah. It was all centered around her, and I don't mean that in a way. It's like, well, duh, she's the main character. It's called Wonder Woman. No, like every thing that happens in the movie and every character that she meets has an influence on what the moral of the story is, and it's not a superhero movie in terms of her becoming a superhero and wanting to save the day.
Right.
It's she just all of a sudden hears that there's this war going on, and she's like,
She's
I have
immediately
to.
called
She's
to
like,
action.
she's like, it's because of this, and I have to be there because of this, and it gives her just the real take on what war is, and you have this like weird like historical parallel to it where she's seeing it happen, and she's like, this is not what I thought it was, especially having that whole sequence.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially having that whole sequence where she's like watching her aunt and her mom be like, amazing glamazons, and
That's the subtitle for this movie.
I hope that's the sequel.
Genuinely, the thing that was most fascinating about this movie to me was the fact that it was not, this is super common, and I'm not saying it's wrong, but super common to see when you have what's called a women's empowerment movie is a woman who acts masculine or with qualities that we typically associate with masculinity. We associate like strength and courage and being able to say, I don't need anyone, and the total lack of vulnerability. In this movie, Wonder Woman, Diana is such an optimist, and she cares about love, and she cares about other people, and she's willing to jump in and just, shirt off her back kind of goodness.
She's
that
not
is so rare.
She's not brooding. She's
No,
not
she's
just
not
like,
aggressive.
I have to do this. But she's like, I care for mankind, and I care for
and that's a
these
good enough
women
reason.
and children, and this is like it. This is my duty. I need to do this. And I just love that everything in the movie came back to her. Everything did. Every male character you meet, every
They're shaped by her.
Every event that happens, every plot point, it all just comes back to that center of the hero's journey for her. And
I used to want to save the world.
Yeah, and I just oh my God, that line. And in the whole theme of just they tell her, it's even in the trailer, they're like, Diana, the world does not deserve you, and that becomes actually a really big theme in the movie. And
Centerpiece. It's really great.
This
guys.
is now
see this movie.
This podcast has changed to the Gal Gadot fan club.
It has indeed. It has indeed.
Yeah, because I'm really just gonna wear a Wonder Woman costume like
24/7.
I'm gonna start my morning waking up and just putting it on and looking in the mirror and being like, I can do this.
Yes. Have you seen the studies about the Wonder Woman pose?
Yes. Yeah, I watched that TED Talk.
Works. Yes, it totally works.
It's incredible. And it's funny that TED Talk has gotten so big. Like, to sidestep Wonder Woman, that TED Talk was mentioned in an episode of Grey's Anatomy. It was like this really big episode about how, you know, they were really about to take on this like really groundbreaking, like extremely difficult, never been done surgery. And the two surgeons mentioned, it's two women too. They do the pose and she's like, what are you doing? She's like, studies show that when you do the superhero pose for, you know, this many, you know, you're this and this and that, you know, all the scientific stuff, and there's just a great shot of them just sitting there doing it. And I'm like, I watched that TED Talk in college. Right? Like, that's crazy that it bled into this. Like, that's...
I don't know. It really is like she is a force for good, period. It's a great movie. It's a great character, and I want to see more. I'm terrified of what a sequel will mean, because I'm like, this is perfect.
Patty Jenkins is directing.
Patty Jenkins. But we'll see. I'm confident, very confident and hopeful about what the future could be, given the success of this.
Absolutely.
It means good things for women. It means good things in general, just for other beings.
Yeah.
So I
hate that, like, what bites about it is I've seen a lot of it is that people are like, you know, so much was riding on this movie to be good, which sucks because, you know, people don't. How many fucking Batman and Superman movies do we have? And I personally, as someone who loves Man of Steel, loves Henry Cavill, like there's always going to be more of those, and this is the only Wonder Woman film we've ever had, and so much was riding on it. If this wasn't good,
they would have said women can't do it.
Women can't do it, and it's
women can't do superhero movies.
And it's like, nah, I want a Wonder Woman trilogy, and then a reboot, and then a spin-off, and a Netflix series,
sequels,
and I don't care how bad it all is.
Netflix special, yes, I
want
to
see more Gal Gadot and more female directors and more women on the screen, because that was a fucking incredible experience of a movie. I cannot wait to see it again.
You did not hear it here first, but it is true. Up next, we're going to interview Gary Entin. We're going to talk about a bunch of things, but most importantly, queer films.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Beauty in the Bi. Here we have Gary Entin, director of Geography Club and Sins of Our Youth, to tell us what he's working on now.
Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Yes, thanks for
glad
being
to have
here.
you on. Glad to have you on.
Yeah,
Just watched actually Geography Club today, so to make sure that I was actually in on what we're talking about.
You hadn't already seen it?
I'm okay.
You're not a big Geography Club fan?
It had been a few years, but no, it really is. It's a great film. It just totally works. There's something wonderful about it, which is that it doesn't, it fits into a really standard formula of what a good movie is, and yet you feature gay protagonists, which is extremely uncommon. I feel like there's a sort of expectation in the same way that Wonder Woman, you know, a lot of people expected it to be a women's superhero movie or a female superhero movie, and it just ended up being a great superhero movie.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I appreciate you saying that. Thank you for watching it. But no, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. So how did, I mean, I know that you came out here to LA, and you were originally, I don't know if you were originally as in you came out here to act, but I know you did acting, and then did you just transition into directing, or was it like you were always planning on wanting to direct and acting was just like the stepping stone to that point?
Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Like directing, filmmaking, which I do with my twin brother Edmund. We write and direct.
Right.
Nice.
And that was always like our main goal, although we took acting very seriously because we were doing it professionally. But we were always either working at a production company if we didn't have a job, or so we worked at several different production companies, made a bunch of short films, then we finally got our first feature off the ground at 25, and that was sort of the moment that we decided to focus all of our energy on filmmaking, though it was always the number one goal, you know, and even when we were doing movies, like we did a really cool movie for Fox and Walden when we were 21 called The Seeker, which was like our first giant movie that we were on. Like I felt like I was always absorbing everything through a filmmaking lens. Like I was like, man, like how are they doing everything that they're doing? So like,
so you're kind of using like acting as a tool, basically, to like
to understand.
Well, to understand.
I don't know if I would say I was using it as a tool, because I was definitely hyper focused on the acting portion as well. But I was definitely kind of had two things going on at once. So you know, I was always, I guess, had an eye on both sides of the camera, even when I was acting, and certainly through acting. it's helped tremendously with the filmmaking.
I'm sure.
Including like feeling like I really know how to have a good relationship with the actors in my movie.
Yeah,
you know, because I know what like I didn't like and what I did like when I was an actor. So
Interesting. Yeah, that's definitely.
Well, I'm curious to know, for maybe even just the kids who are watching at home, you said that you'd, typically or often been working on production companies. How did you get your first gig in production? What was that like for you?
So our first production company, we actually both worked at, this one was called Hyperion Pictures. And we we worked on the Proud Family movie for Disney. It was the movie of the week. And then there was this movie.
Just struck a chord.
I'm like, I didn't know this. Anyway, no.
So we worked on the Proud Family. And sort of our first mentors were two guys, a guy named Willard Carroll and Tom Wilhite, who ran Hyperion and sort of gave us that shot. There was a movie they made there at the time called Marigold with Ali Larder, but Willard had written and directed a movie called Playing by Heart. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it came out the same year as Shakespeare in Love. It's a brilliant, brilliant film. And Tom had, when he was 28, he was the head of production and television at the head of production at Disney. So he was sort of like
at 28.
Yeah. Nothing to shake a stick at.
No. So these guys were like really, I guess they gave us our shot in that sense. And working at Hyperion was like, we just learned so much doing it. And in that time, we made our first short film. Like, we were working like 50 hours a week, but like putting together like the money and this or that and everything like after work or on the weekends. And, we like took 8 days off. They like, take 8 days off. And, we like made this short film. And so we were sort of definitely very motivated. And that was, we were 19 and all that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Really?
we were really young, yeah.
I'm like hoping by 28 we're still not like puking out of moving vehicles. Like,
I mean, so long as I'm getting paid to do it.
I'm like, damn.
Well, I'm curious to know, you had mentioned just that you work with your twin brother. How did that come to be? Like, when did were you making movies as kids? What actually like motivated you guys to say, let's do this for real together?
Well, that's so funny because we were making movies as kids. Like, we got our first camera at 10. Our parents were like, you're gonna wash, cars and raise the money for that camera. And we drove our neighbors crazy for months and months. And finally my parents were like, all right, you have half. Like, I think the neighbors were annoyed of having bad car washes.
Your neighbors were like, that's
like,
3 times today,
enough. Just buy them the rest of the camera, like give them the money. So we got this camera and we just started making movies. And of course, like, you start at 10, you're figuring things out. We were like editing on analog,
Oh, wow.
This was like before like computer editing systems.
Yes.
And so like it just kind of builds from there. You stay with something if you're interested in it, and then you start to take it seriously. Read books, like go to film festivals in local areas, all things that we did. And we're like, now how can I like make a real short film, which we attempted in high school twice, and got like actors from the local community theaters to be in it, and then enter those into festivals. So it wasn't like, I don't know if there was ever a moment where we were like, are we doing this professionally? We were kind of just like always going to do this professionally.
We've always done it, yeah.
So,
Interesting.
yeah.
That's great.
And is that something that you guys always want to do as a joint like venture? Like, do you guys do anything really separately, or is it mainly you guys come together the creative process together? Or
filmmaking wise, we're a team, and actually if you watch Geography Club,
I know
it's
he
Edmund's
wrote
credit
it.
is writing, and my credit is directing, and those are our primary roles. But we're so involved in each other's processes,
Sure.
Right.
that we were like, he really isn't just writing these things, and I'm really not just directing them.
Right.
And we actually can't even figure out why we decided to separate it in that sense. We're like, we're so much a unit that, I mean, like, that is the that's going to be the path. Like, we don't really want to make films outside of each other because we really are such a solid unit together. And then we've already now since, started down that, everything we write, we're writing together, and like there's even more involvement. We directed a film from Mar Vista and Ion called How Sarah Got Her Wings. It's a Christmas movie.
I watched the promo.
We did.
So, I mean, when we were acting, it's like we did a lot of things as twins. We did things that were separate. That was different.
Yeah.
But filmmaking now, it's
That's a team effort.
It's a team effort, yeah.
That's interesting. Okay, well, I'm curious to know, I've seen that you've directed 4 feature films. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So were each of those projects something that you guys had done together?
Yeah.
And that you guys made the decision. You're like, let's do this. Let's keep going.
Yeah. Well, we developed all, especially the first three, My 11th, Geography Club, and Sins of Our Youth were things that we developed together. Those are our like original screenplays. Though of course, Geography Club is based off of a book by Brett Hartinger, a brilliant book by Brett Hartinger, and he's kept that series going. And and How Sarah Got Her Wings was our first movie that we met with Mar Vista, and they asked us to be a part of it, which was really super cool.
Nice.
And then we worked with the writer Damon, who had written just the most like adorable, cute Christmas movie script ever. He's super talented. And so we co-directed that one together, but we didn't write it. Yeah,
I was gonna say, watching the trailer, it reminded me of Just Like Heaven. I was like, yes, this is such a perfect,
There's
this
flavors.
is
Defending Your Life. I don't know if you've ever seen the Albert Brooks movie. Like that was a big. I love that movie.
Yes. That's fantastic.
I'm like,
That's
I should
great
not be sitting in
inspiration.
between two film buffs. I'm like,
No, please
I'm like, so.
ask your questions about it.
I'm just like, I don't see a whole lot of movies.
So let's talk about Wonder Woman.
I'm like, so Wonder Woman.
No, that's fantastic, because that means you have a perspective to it that that some of the people at home watching are going to have too, which is just like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what that is. Tell me more. So what questions do you have specifically?
I actually wanted to come back to like
about?
to kind of how we talked about, me and you did offset about the representation of the film in Geography Club, because I liked how you explained the movie to me, and that was, you were like, we thought about how, there's not a lot of LGBT-centered movies that you can show in high school. Like, you can show in a high school classroom setting. Like, and I'm really glad you told me that, like, before I watched the movie, because I did feel that when the movie was going on. I'm like, oh, this is the flavor of the movie, is like, I've seen this on a movie day in like a health class, when like it's a substitute teacher and they're like, oh, like this is a really great movie about this, like I'm just gonna show this to the class for for them to absorb. And you were just like, we don't have a whole lot of like PG-13 LGBT centered and themed films, and we were talking about how, is it something that you want to see, like, do you want to do work more geared towards like working more towards like LGBT positive and LGBT representative films, or do you more see yourself as just like, I'm a director, not I'm a director who makes queer movies?
Oh, I mean, that's so it's such an interesting question. Well,
and there's no wrong answer to this, like you know what I mean? Like there's no like negative thing to be, to be someone who wants to really only make LGBT
but by the way,
films.
my brother and I are always sort of just driven to whatever stories that we think are interesting to tell. And My 11th is about a serial killer. Sins of Our Youth is also very dark, and Geography Club, and just doesn't really fit in there. But we both read the book actually at Hyperion first, and then we're lucky enough to get the opportunity to make it, which is a story in itself. But I remember when we read it, we were like, man, we'd love to make this film. So yeah, I mean, I would love to do another LGBT movie. I just need to find that story, and so the answer is yes. It's
okay, great.
Do you want to do more adaptations?
Well,
it seems like that's definitely it seems like you're drawn to that to some extent.
So Sins is an original idea, as is My 11th, but a movie that I think we're going to be making next, it looks that way right now, is another adaptation. It's called Citrus County, on a book by John Brandon, which is really like a book that we love. So yeah, I mean, like, hey, I have huge goals. Like, I want to be the guy that directs The Stand, Stephen King's The Stand. I know they already have a director on it right now, but I don't think it's in production.
You're like,
but no, so like, I often read. I'm an avid reader, so like, a lot of the times, I'm reading a book, and like my filmmaker brain will go to, I want to make that movie.
I want to see what this would look like.
Yeah, but then also my brother and I will like just get caught up in like ideas that we're developing, So it always comes from like, could come from anywhere essentially.
Right. Okay. Well, would you talk a little bit then about the process for you of adapting Geography Club into a production, into a movie?
Yes, I will.
Would love to know.
But I also want to just go back really quickly, if that's okay, to the
sure.
sort of introductory movie that you can show in schools. I think an important element of that, because I remember there's lots of movies, that I would see in school, like To Sir with Love or Dead Poet Society.
Yes.
But I feel like at a younger age, and especially with material like when it comes to acceptance, kids haven't really made their minds up yet a lot of the times in those sort of formative years. And I think it's really important to have movies that are about acceptance that you could see when you're younger, when I feel like you're still forming those opinions.
Absolutely.
Which is why, especially with LGBT or whatnot, or really anything that has to do with acceptance, I feel like there should be more movies that are based or geared towards a younger audience. Because so often when we see a movie as adults, you know, whatever it's about, like, it's so, our minds are sort of set, you know, we can't change it as well. So that's sort of why.
No, especially because, like, a lot of, you know, people really do believe that, like, LGBT media is inherently R-rated. Like, you know, people just believe, like, they're like, I don't want my kids to see, like, they're just not ready for it. It's like, okay, Susan, your kid's gonna be fine if he sees two dads kiss on television. Like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, there tends to be, I think, perhaps, I don't know where it comes from exactly, but there tends to be a pigeonholing of LGBT films that they either have to be raunchy or tortured.
Right.
That there's the, like, being gay is, you know, the central theme of the film. And there can be, as you have certainly proved, there can be movies that are about gay people that are not necessarily, like, that doesn't have to be the driving factor of, like, oh, I'm gay, how will people, you know, it doesn't have to be that. It can be a really tender, gentle film like what you've made here, and just be fantastic and fit into a standard narrative, the way that gay people exist in the real world.
I love that you say that, because my brother and I were always like, we're going to treat especially the love story with all the bells and whistles of a love story you would see, like, in The Notebook or any heterosexual movie. Like, they're kissing in the rain is their first kiss is in the rain. And that was a very specific choice, because kissing in the rain is what you think of when you think of a love story. So it's like, we're just going to treat it with all those same, you know, tropes, movie tropes, or things that you've seen a million times.
I love it,
You know, just because it's two guys doesn't make a difference. You know?
Exactly, and I like that too. Oh gosh, I was like going off the point here.
Well,
I do like that. Even though this is a movie, like you're saying, like, you know, LGBT movies are either raunchy or tortured. That, you know, this movie was about the internal struggle of someone coming out of the closet and stuff like that. It had a very nice, happy, positive ending. It wasn't just, you know, a tie up to a story that, you know, had some hope to it. Like, it was a very happy ending. It was just like any other, you know, teen movie about, you know, some heteronormative narrative where it just, you know, it's like, oh, they all lived happily ever after, like, you know. I mean, obviously, like, there's about the other, what's the other character's name? The football player.
Oh, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin. Even though, you know, people could have been a little let down with the ending, you know, with Kevin, it still, to me, was still a very happy ending, and it was,
Well, thanks. No, I think so too. And they don't, you know, there is that element with Kevin that I guess I don't want to give away if people haven't seen the movie yet, because if you haven't, I'd love for them to see it.
Sure.
Yeah, not everything is wrapped up, I guess I'd say, in a neat little bow,
but
it's
still
very positive.
Yeah.
It's very happy.
Yeah, it's very, like, misinterpreted that, like, gay people can't be happy in film and television, like the whole kill your gays trope.
Like, the story has to end in an orgasm. Like, that's genuinely like something that you see all the time, or that for women the story has to end in the acquisition of a romantic interest. Like, there's so many more dimensions that we're missing here if we're not making films like what you're making with Geography Club. So that's really,
I just really like that little, like,
driving force,
you know, ending, you know, that was happy, and I'm like, oh, finally.
Yeah.
Gays can be happy. Imagine that.
Right?
It's fantastic. Well, okay, I'm curious to know actually a little bit more about your background. So, at least per my internet searching, I believe I know that you grew up in Miami, Florida. Is that correct?
I was born in North Miami, but really, really, like, at 9 we moved to Broward County, which is about 30 minutes north.
Really?
So, yeah.
Okay, so were you in blue country or red country? Which part of Florida? Was it, like, fairly progressive Florida, like Miami, or was it different?
It was progressive. It was progressive. I'm trying to think, in the last election, I'm pretty sure we went Democratic. But what was really funny was, because Florida was so tight, I remember watching CNN and NBC, and, like, they were, like, hyper focused at, like, for, like, a good like 20 minutes, and like the Broward County numbers coming in, and I was like, come on, do me proud, Broward County, and I don't remember now which.
I do know that Miami-Dade County voted like 63% for Hillary for sure.
But
so
it was close
the county,
to Broward, I think.
Yeah.
I do think.
Beautiful.
I almost want to say it might have gone for Trump, because I remember them saying, like, there's still like hundreds of thousands of votes that come in, and me being like, I don't think that there's that many votes left.
Hundreds of thousands, you're like,
how many
it's a small town, but I was like,
Hmm.
but I don't remember, so I can't. Yeah.
Sure, I was gonna say. Well, interestingly, I guess what I thought, I was like, okay, so even though you grew up in Florida, I was curious to know, did you have a comfort level, a fairly high comfort level with coming out? or how were you raised? Was your community fairly conservative?
Oh, I mean, well, my parents are very accepting.
Great,
My
yes.
uncle's gay. My dad, some of his best friends are gay, and actually grew up doing community theater with my dad. So a lot of the people involved in the theater are,
Of course.
you know, gay or just
like,
overall
yeah.
accepting. So yeah, it definitely was a very warm, accepting environment.
Yeah, you can't really be hateful in community
very-
theater. It's not going to fly. It's not. I mean, Mike Pence did attend Hamilton, but that's the only recorded instance.
That community theater show, Hamilton,
That was an
on
anomaly.
Broadway.
Right.
Just because this show is, you know, everything we really like to talk about with our guests is that, you know, what they can offer through an LGBT or sex positive lens. So we ask all of our guests, like, what was your first experience basically knowing what sex was, having a concept or a grasp of sex. And as we say in every episode, that doesn't necessarily mean when did you lose your virginity, or, you know, when did you first look at porn. It's just when did you have like an understanding of maybe like, or an idea of what sex was.
Well, so that's just such an interesting question because I'm the youngest of 6 kids. So I cannot remember the moment I like knew because you just have older siblings, you know, and like you hear and you pick up on a lot of
it just
things.
slowly pieces together.
Yeah, and I do remember there was somebody in middle school, a friend of mine that will remain nameless, that definitely shined a light on certain things that I hadn't quite known about, and I think things kind of gelled together in that
And that
moment.
was like
But that certainly wasn't the first
glue.
moment I knew, but things were cleared up for me.
Yeah.
You know?
Interesting.
Got it.
Okay.
But
no, wait,
yeah.
was that a conversation or did they like bring over, they're like, hey, check out this nudie mag or something? Like,
It was a
what was it?
conversation.
Okay.
I have this like image of a conversation between classes, but
How old were you at the time?
I was like in 6th or 7th grade.
Okay,
But
so
again, I had
primo.
already like I had already
Late
picked up
elementary.
on so much just from being in a house with, you know,
5 other kids. Yeah,
Yeah,
6 kids.
exactly.
Yeah, guaranteed.
Yeah.
Well, what's the difference between the youngest and the oldest? How many years? The youngest is how old? The oldest is how old?
so there's 9 years difference.
Ooh, okay, yeah, you're gonna learn.
You're gonna
You're
hear
gonna learn
some
it.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I wasn't exposed to that because my 2 oldest
Yep.
siblings, who are much older than me, they're half siblings, so they didn't live with us. They lived with their
Out of the
mom, so
house.
I didn't really get all that from them. I, you know, learned about sex and stuff like the old-fashioned way, whereas you always have that.
Having sex? No.
I just went and did it. No, you just have like you either
am I
have
doing?
you have that one friend who is your same age but somehow
Right, but I
knows
had that one
knows
friend.
knows,
more.
knows so much
Yeah,
more.
like,
It's
where
so
did
funny.
you get all
It's so
this?
funny because this is the
What
friends that
are
I'm
you
still friends with to
using?
this day, and I've been friends with her since
Really?
3rd grade. And we
Nice.
always joked in middle school, we're like, Cassie's gonna be the person that makes out with girls in college because she's so knowledgeable about sex
knows
at such a young
things.
age. And like sure enough, like we just called it. We're like, yeah, that's Cassie, our super sex positive, on the spectrum, sexuality,
Beautiful.
best friend.
I feel like every group, and this is probably best expressed by the television show Hey Arnold, every group has like a story keeper or a keeper of the knowledge. In Hey Arnold, it's Gerald, obviously. So I feel like every friend group also has that person who just like holds all the knowledge and disperses it at key moments. And that's for a lot of people we've had on the show. They're like, oh yeah, a friend said this or that, or whatever. It's interesting to find out. For me, it was genuinely just down to like having moments where I would watch a joke in a movie and just kind of realize like that means something I don't quite understand. People would make a joke about like
had that
what's
moment,
between
yeah.
someone's legs, and I'm like, really? Like between their legs? I'm like, how does that? So that to me, that was like that first kind of inception of like, oh, interesting. There's something that adults do that we don't know about.
I'm still digesting the Hey Arnold reference. Like, I'm really happy that it happened.
Thank
I just
you.
wasn't prepared for a Hey Arnold reference, so I'm just like,
This is Christiana,
I
queen
watch
of
it to
references.
this day.
Yes.
Watch it to this day.
but I
think it's
also
a
had
great
the same
show.
experience too when I saw something about Mary.
Yeah,
I was
yes, that was a big one.
What?
What are they talking
There's
about?
a lot of like.
I did
yeah,
not
was like,
understand what was in her
what's
hair.
happening?
I was like,
I
what
know
is
I should be
this?
laughing right now because
Yeah.
other people are laughing.
Right, they
but
understand
I don't know
something
what I'm
that I
laughing at.
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And also, like, I think the whole zipper scene, like, they've really, a lot of movies like that have made a careful effort, I think probably through direct influence, have been made a careful effort to cut in a way that children like don't quite understand, but we understand where the laugh is. And we kind of get that there's some like knowledge that is necessary to understand the greater picture, but we get that there's like a secret of some kind going on, that like some people are in on it and some people are not. And so that I think is a lot of people's first experience with what sex is as this big kind of unknowable before it becomes known, which is interesting. Pop culture.
Especially when you want to be the person who is in on the joke, but you don't get it. So like you steal that joke and you use it like at school, and then like you hope no one asks you.
What does that mean? Like you, don't you know?
You know.
I'm not gonna explain it to you. If you
No.
don't already know.
Oh my gosh, like
that,
I'm not gonna say.
That happened to me. I'm putting together now.
Oh, that happened to me all the time. I was the
gonna
overdramatic
explain
kid
it
in
to
school,
you.
so yeah.
A, first of all, we've had a great conversation, but B, we still have a game to get to.
We do, and this one is not as
Not our usual.
raunchy or as quizzical. Is that a word?
I don't want to.
You're like.
You
don't
go
make me
ahead
look
with
it
that.
up.
It's just
Yes.
not the way you're using it.
This is just a
Thank you.
very simple game. It's not even really a game. It's just kind of called Tell Me About It. And you're just going to reach into this bag and you're just going to tell me about, these things that I wrote up here, they're mainly pertaining to acting, directing, and things like that. But and being in the entertainment industry, so I just want you to reach in and just grab one. Yeah.
A hand just comes out.
And I want you
How
to just
deep is
tell me
this
about
bag? Why is there a
what's on
cut?
it.
Okay. Biggest setback during shooting.
Ooh, that could be a lot of things. Okay, that's a great question.
I mean, you
Good
know,
job.
you definitely run into your days. You have days where like, oh, you know, the 18K like went out, and you're just like, oh my God, I hope that goes back.
What do we do? Yeah.
But we had a very highly involved day on Sins of Our Youth. It was day 3. It was
How many shooting days?
there was 21 days on
Yeah,
on Sins of Our Youth, and there was just a lot going on. We had in the morning we're in a church with 200 extras. You have to get them situated, sort of explain like, you know, reactions or whatnot, what's going on, including a boys choir who was lip syncing. Yeah, so
That's a
there was that.
day.
Yeah, and a very dramatic scene in the morning, and then after lunch it was turned into nighttime. It's called splits. We still had the extras. We had to resituate them. A lot of cop cars, squibs. There's a lot going on. The camera
Lord,
was like
that
big
always
camera
makes me
moves,
nervous.
and you know, even if we wanted to make our 12-hour day,
Yeah.
we didn't even have 12 hours because the light was coming up like
Yeah.
like 45 minutes earlier than even our
you
day
needed
was
to
going to
finish.
end, and it was just so involved. And I remember talking. Me and my director of photography, who's done my last 3 movies, and has become a really, really good friend, actually. This was our second movie together, and you know, with Geography Club, like, man, we nailed every day. And we looked at each other at 3 o'clock in the morning, and we're like, I don't know if we're gonna get through this one. And then we're like, yeah, we're gonna get through it. And we just sort of like had this plan of attack and like just executed it. And literally, as the like light was coming up, we called cut, and we got everything that we needed to get.
Oh,
Like,
good.
and it was and good, like, you know, like what we
Beautiful.
wanted,
Yeah,
like
it wasn't.
uncompromised.
Yes. Oh, that's
So,
the dream.
yeah.
That's beautiful. That's fantastic.
Oh, and we can do a couple more.
Yeah, let's do a couple more. That
I
was
mean, like,
great.
this isn't like a
I want 2 more
one-shot,
cues. I want 2 more cues.
Let's do it.
That's fantastic. That
So
makes me
tell
happy
me.
just thinking of that day.
Weirdest celebrity run-in. I don't. It's just like I don't. What is a weird?
You know, I
celebrity-
was
yeah.
literally thinking that too. I'm like, do I have a
makes it
weird
weird?
celebrity run-in?
Okay. I've got a couple strange ones. Okay, so this is just a story about me being an arrogant child. But when I was younger, my dad worked on the TV show Alias, which launched Jennifer Garner's career, and J.J. Abrams and a bunch of people. And he worked on the show. I was doing some visual effects stuff, and he brought me on set one day because he knew I was just super excited by the idea and just wanted to be on set and like wanted to know how it worked. And I was so excited, and I was maybe 11 years old. And the director of the show was notorious, on that particular episode, was just notorious for being a total like screamer in your face, like do not cross. And I went up and I tapped him on the shoulder and I was like, can I listen to this scene? And my dad said, no, don't. And he just like, he melted and he gave me a set of headphones.
Aww,
and I was
so
like,
sweet. I love that.
So I guess that's to be weird. You can just talk about like a unique, I guess, like celebrity run-in or.
So I went to this juice shop once to get smoothies with a buddy of mine in Glendale.
I thought you said juice shop.
I know,
was like,
that's why I
excuse
want juice.
Juicero.
And just struck up a conversation. I guess it was just weird because it was like an odd hour of the day. No one was really in there except for Louis Anderson. So we all just sort of had like this. And I grew up loving the cartoon.
Yeah.
So Life with Louis. And so, I mean, it wasn't, I guess the only thing that would have made it weird was just how random it was.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess it's just, and he was so lovely too. Like,
That's always, a plus.
Yeah. And it was right before he started doing, I guess, the show that he's doing now. So he's had this sort of resurgence and won an Emmy and he was super cool. But I guess just like, but I guess it just happens all the time.
If you live here, you'll see someone you like from a show walking into the coffee shop. Like if you can see your favorite comedian like 5 feet from you sweating on you. So it's a little bit of a different question in LA. But let's do one more.
Yeah. Okay.
One more. Yes.
Yes, one more. Oh, wait, why did I start
you're
reaching
gonna
for
pick
it? I mean, I was just like,
Dealer's
yeah.
choice, Cody.
Right.
I'm like, I wrote them, damn it.
Okay, who would you love to work with? I mean, there's so many people. I would love
Who would
to
you
work
like
with.
to direct? Who would you like to direct?
Yeah.
What's an actor that you really admire?
I mean, so like, favorite actresses like Kate Winslet, Nicole Kidman, Kate Blanchett, like Meryl Streep, like any of those would be super amazing to work with.
Queens.
They're the queens, right? Like they really are. So
Any that like maybe
or
people.
just maybe all of them, like
Yep,
like,
it just hit me.
Yeah.
You're like,
Just gonna like
sweats.
Okay.
What about? Are there any that like maybe people wouldn't maybe not necessarily know off the top of the head? Like those are like really big names. Are there any actresses or actors that you've seen that have like had smaller roles in things, and maybe you're just like, wow, like such a talent that like no one.
There are. Well, first of all, Aidan Gillian, who plays Littlefinger on Game of Thrones. I'm just obsessed with him, and he's in Sing Street. Like he's not like a little actor. Like plenty of people like know him from so many different.
But that's not one that people would be like.
Right. That's not like Kate Winslet, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
And I always loved, but now he's become so huge. Mark Rylance, who is the giant of BFG and Bridge of Spies that Spielberg is really like. But he was always so brilliant from just theater beforehand, and I just think he's a genius actor. So.
Sounds like a dream.
What about maybe someone that you would direct with, or maybe work with someone like a writer that What about that? Is there any some people that come to mind?
I'm trying to think. Like I'm sure there's like, I have like so many like major filmmakers, right?
Sure, and it
like,
could be major for this one.
If they wanted
just
to
because...
like produce a movie for us and like usher, like there's just so many, and like I can't. Like I'm drawing a blank.
What's your genre of choice? Like if you were to make a genre film, like would you want to do horror, romance? What's your
like I was kind of saying before,
film?
it's kind of like all of our movies. Like I definitely do.
You're
love
just drawn
genre,
to a story.
Well, Stephen King is like that's probably the answer to my question.
Yeah,
you want to work with Stephen King.
I love Stephen King.
Yeah.
My brother loves Stephen King.
That'd be great.
So getting to do with Stephen King
That
book,
would be the dream.
right?
That would be.
And work with Stephen King.
And work with him in the
on
adaptation of
making
it.
the movie,
That
So,
sounds
I
beautiful.
certainly love following that man on Twitter.
Yes.
I just got
great.
a stand, the original artwork from The Stand, the cover art.
Oh,
I just got
that's
tattooed.
Beautiful.
that,
Yes.
so,
Okay.
yeah.
Well.
And I already referenced The Stand, and it's like my
Yes.
obsession.
But
It's just
that's
like,
fine.
It
'cause-
sounds like
Unpacking,
you've
growing,
definitely picked someone you want to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah. there
I
it
think
is,
we just shot an episode, guys. I
think
think
so
that was
too.
another
All
great
right.
edition
that
of
was so
Beauty
much
and the
fun.
Bite.
Yes, thank you so much
for
for coming
joining
on.
us.
Thank you for having me.
Gary Entin, keep an eye out for a couple features and stuff coming out to you soon. Thanks so much for joining us.
Before
Where
we
can
go,
we
actually,
follow you?
where can they find you? Where can the people at home find you? Are you on social media?
Yeah, my Instagram is Gary the Wise.
Gary the
So
Wise.
that's sort of my
Is
big
that
social
where
media.
you
That's
link
usually
to
what you
work?
use.
Well, yeah.
Where you
I don't
announce
have
work.
like an official like fan page or anything like that.
I
But
will.
I like.
I don't know if directors are cool enough. Like Like they are cool enough, but I'm like
Film
at
buffs,
least
like, come on.
Like at like where I'm at right now, like people are not like trying to find me on social media. There are of course directors that are like super cool that have like huge social media presence.
I mean, like, I can relate. I'm like, people aren't finding me from this yet. I'm like, they're finding me because it's like linked to my Tinder or my Grindr. Like
that one Tyler the Creator video.
that one viral video I did.
Beautiful.
Well, again, thank you so much for being on the
Thank
show.
you.
Thanks for
And we'll see you
We'll
guys
see
next
you
time.
so soon.